The following program is dedicated to the life and memory of the late Ralph W. Adams, Jr., former Executive Director of the NSA, National Security Agency.
Welcome to Japan Journal. I'm your host, Mal Adams, where we uncover the stories that matter, expose the injustices that others try to sweep under the rug, and amplify the voices that refuse to be silenced. Tonight, we bring you a story so outrageous, so deeply offensive, that it demands our immediate attention. A national museum in the United States, one of the very institutions tasked with preserving history, deliberately covered up the achievements of Black Americans and women who served this nation in the shadows of national security. And why? Because Donald the Chump Trump and his allies want to erase diversity, equity, and inclusion from the federal government. Well, this is not just an attack on our history, it's an assault on truth itself. Stay tapped in. This story coming up right now on Japan Journal with yours truly, Mal Adams, right now.
You're tapped into Japan Journal with Mal Adams, the internet's #1 weekly English language online cybercast from Japan, streaming on GNN, the Global News Network, a division of Totown Communications Company, Limited, Japan.
All right, we are back, and let's start with the facts. The crime against history. The National Cryptologic Museum in Fort Meade, Maryland, is dedicated to telling the stories of the pioneers in intelligence and cryptology. Among those honored in its Hall of Honor are women and people of color who broke barriers to serve the National Security Agency, or the NSA, an agency responsible for protecting America's national security interests. Last week, museum officials took sheets of paper and literally covered up these plaques. They obscured the very faces and names of those who had served their country. It's a Trump crackdown on DEI as the root cause. And why would a museum engage in such an act of historical vandalism? The answer lies in Trump's executive order terminating all diversity, equity, and inclusion, or DEI, programs across the federal government. Trump calls these initiatives illegal and promised to erase them entirely when he returned to power. Well, his war against DEI is nothing more than an attempt to drag the USA backward, erasing progress, erasing contributions, and ultimately erasing us. Among those honored in the museum's Hall of Honor are Black men and women who dedicated their lives to national security, including my own late brother, Ralph W. Adams, Jr., a former executive director of the NSA. While his plaque was not among those covered, the sheer disrespect shown to other Black and female pioneers in the agency is personal, and I take it personal, and my family takes it personal, and you should take it personal. This is an insult to their service, their families, and their legacies. When former NSA employees saw what had been done, they were stunned and outraged. Many had spent their entire careers protecting the country, only to have their contributions literally papered over. Now, these were the people who built the backbone of America's intelligence network, and now their stories were being censored. Helen Adams, widow of Ralph Adams, and my sister-in-law, was among those who spoke out. She was furious. She said, quote, "Didn't somebody say, 'Oh my God, that's wrong'?" End quote. Indeed, how could any person with a conscience cover up these plaques and think it was acceptable? Amid mounting public pressure and outrage from former NSA officials, the museum was forced to reverse its decision, thanks to our beloved sister, Helen Adams, and others. The plaques were uncovered, but only after they were caught. Let's be clear, this wasn't an innocent mistake. It was a calculated act of erasure. This is not an isolated incident. Across the United States, we see books being banned, Black history being stripped from curriculums, coincidentally on this month of Black History, February 2025, and systemic attempts to downplay the contributions primarily of African Americans. Coincidentally, as we celebrate Black History Month at the time of this report, this attack on the plaques at the NSA Museum is part of a much larger campaign to silence our voices and our history. Make no mistake, now that Donald Trump has returned to the White House, this is just the beginning. He has openly declared his hostility to diversity, equity, and inclusion. He has already labeled these programs illegal and vowed to eliminate them. So we can expect an all-out assault on Black representation, women, and their underrepresented communities, and their progress in every federal institution. What happens when a nation forgets its history? It repeats the same injustices. That's what happens. And by covering up these plaques, the NSA Museum wasn't just erasing history, they were signaling that the contributions of Black Americans and women no longer matter in today's America. This is a dangerous precedent. Had this story not been exposed, the plaques might have remained covered indefinitely. This proves just how vital independent journalism and vigilant reporting are in protecting the truth. It's up to us to shine a light on these injustices because mainstream media often looks the other way. Now is the time to act. We must remain vigilant and speak out whenever and wherever we see history being erased. We must hold institutions accountable and demand that they honor and preserve the truth. And most importantly, we must stay engaged politically. There is no clearer message. In all upcoming elections, federal, state, and local, we must vote like our history depends on it, because it does. African Americans of the Black History Month celebration this month, progressives, and all anti-Trump voters must mobilize, organize, and show up at the polls. We cannot afford to be complacent. The story of the National Cryptologic Museum's cover-up, literally, is just one piece of a much larger puzzle. It's a warning sign of what's to come if we don't fight back. And y'all know what happens when we fight. We win, as Kamala would say. They want to erase our history, silence our voices, and dismantle the progress we've made. But we will not let them get away with that, will we? This is Mal Adams, and you've been watching Japan Journal with Mal Adams. Stay informed, stay engaged, and most of all, stay in the fight. And if you believe in truth, if you stand against racism, if you refuse to let history be erased, then share this video. Talk about it. Educate those around you. And when election days come, make sure you, your family, and your community cast your votes to protect the future. Because our ancestors are watching, and history is watching. So stay strong, stay loud, and stay tuned for more Japan Journal with Mal Adams, because the revolution will be televised right here on GNN, the Global News Network, a division of TDM, Totown Digital Media, and the Totown Communications Group, Japan, where we ask you to subscribe, like, comment, and share this program and support Black-owned media. Thank you very much for watching. This is Mal Adams bidding you sayonara from Japan until we meet again. Good day.
From GNN, the Global News Network, a division of Totown Communications Company, Japan. Japan Journal, with Mal Adams, a Black Buddha Productions joint of Japan.